So I have a question for you. Who do you need to forgive? Hello, my name is Zimmaron, and thank you so much for watching. In this video, I really want to dive deep on forgiveness, a topic that is really very much misunderstood and causing a lot of people a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and it's quite literally a plague that eats people up from the inside out, even if they don't think it is doing that to them. So, what is forgiveness? Firstly, forgiveness is where you forgive, where you let someone off the hook, so to speak, as if nothing had ever happened before, right? Where the slate is wiped totally clean. That is what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is unconditional, by the way. It's not like, I'll forgive you if you do this, or if you say I'm sorry. True forgiveness is truly wiping the slate clean with whatever angst or whatever issue or whatever disharmony or disagreement that you have with someone, regardless of what their actions are. Okay, and that's a real difficult pill for people to swallow. But if you think about it, and at the moment I'm talking about forgiving other people, there are some really terrible, heinous things that happen in the world every single day. And some acts and some crimes are really despicable. You know, some would say are unforgivable. But the first concept to understand about forgiveness, that it's not about letting someone off the hook. It's not about someone not paying for what they did or did not do. When you forgive, you're not actually doing it for the other person. And that's the biggest misconception about forgiveness. You're doing it for yourself, and you're releasing the negative energy and the trauma and the hurt and the pain of whatever the action was that took place, that introduced the non-love, the pain, the hurt, the suffering inside of you that was and may have been due to the actions of somebody else. But when you think about it, when you are angry or upset at somebody and you're treating them with non-love, in some case reciprocating the way that they are treating you back at them, there's only one person that you're truly harming, and that is yourself. You're not harming anyone else. You're harming yourself. If you think about the fact of what the ultimate feeling is to have in this lifetime, right, in this world, which is love, right, ultimately self-love, and to walk in peace and true happiness, how can you ever attain that and truly have that if you have animosity and you have negative energy that is projected out into the world at someone else? In this case, in the form of not forgiving someone for the actions that they took. Again, this is not about the other individual, right? Because you see, the lack of forgiveness is actually a form of victim consciousness. you remain a victim and you remain a perpetual victim. And so you're actually always, as long as you harbor any non-love towards somebody else, you're under their control. You're under their mercy. And your well-being is influenced by that person, even if they're not even in your life anymore, even if they're not even alive anymore. Because that negative, that non-loving energy, that lack of forgiveness, and that victim consciousness pulls you down, pulls your vibration down, and it keeps you at a lower vibration, a lower frequency, and it affects you and impacts your life in a negative way. And you can say, well, it doesn't because you're stuffing it all down, but it does, because it takes energy to stuff it all down and to pretend that that person doesn't exist, or that that negative energy or that non-love is not there inside of you. And so that's harming you, because any constriction and any restriction is always harming you, and it takes up energy. And when that energy doesn't flow, it creates blocks, which then creates disease. Okay, disease being ill at ease, which then causes ailments and causes emotional trauma. It causes mental anguish and negativity and anxiety and depression, and it just ripples into all of your life. And doesn't matter how subtle it is or not, or how much in denial that you are, everything that I'm speaking is 100% what happens when you harbor non-love towards another human being, in this case, in the form of not forgiving them or projecting onto them and choosing to remain a victim. Now, let's take this into an extreme example of, let's just say someone murders someone, or someone abuses someone. Again, you are forgiving that person for you. You are creating freedom from that person and from that situation. It has nothing to do with condoning their actions. The universe, karma, whatever you want to label it as, right? The universe will take care of that. And if it's not in this lifetime, it's in another lifetime. No one, if you understand the spiritual concepts and you understand how the universe works, you cannot avoid any life lesson and any karma or anything like that that is meant to happen to you. So if you put out non-love in the universe as that person did, you're now an accomplice, maybe on an infinitesimal level compared to what the actions of that person, but you are sending non-love out into the universe, and there is, whatever you put out there comes back at you. And it's not a punishment. It's just the law of balance. Because you have to lower your vibration to a certain level in order to be able to manifest and fester a negative action and a negative way of being, and to put that out into the universe. So what does that do? It opens up the floodgates for it to come right back at you, right? Because it's the same energy. It's the same level of vibration. Now, I know that I might be getting all heady and all technical. I'm trying to sort of throw out these different concepts. And depending on your belief systems and your understanding of certain universal laws, some of these hopefully might hit. But again, it has nothing to do with the individual. You always want to find the true place of unconditional love inside of you. And it gets into way more complexities from a spiritual sense, because technically everyone creates what they create for a reason. But the point is, this is about you. This is about you being happy. This is about you living the best possible life that you can. And so learning to love every single person unconditionally is the great work. And if you even want to go the Bible route and a Jesus route, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Great teaching, great example. In a very heinous and negative circumstance, even Jesus found forgiveness for his tormentors and ultimately murderers. Again, it's not about condoning the actions. It's not about accepting it. It doesn't mean that you're going to go, oh, I love you. You might never see those individuals ever again, or ever interact with them ever again, depending. But the forgiveness has to be real. It's not a fake forgiveness. And you might get upset, and you might need to bash out the anger and all the emotions, because the emotional body is what will give you access to the forgiveness. It's a shame that when we go through such huge trauma in our lives, that it can take sometimes so long, in some cases decades, for people to finally forgive one another. Fights in the family and selfishness and all the little stupid things that we fight over. And it's usually in the last minute at the 11th hour. And then you realize, oh my God, we were angry and upset for nothing. And all it required was one person to pick up the phone and say, you know what, I'm sorry, or I love you. Can we put this behind ourselves? This is ridiculous. As I said, it's the ultimate form of victim consciousness. There is no higher. But here's the real kicker. Okay, from a spiritual sense, the truth is that there's nothing outside of self. Everything is all one. Everything is all God. And I say the same thing over and over again. Science has already proven this, right? Quantum field, quantum sciences already know this. This is something that ancient wisdom has been teaching for such a long time. And you get to experience that when you go within and do meditation and certain practices. You get to experience the oneness and realize, wait a minute, everything is all one. Everything is of God, of love, at the source. At the source. We're not talking about how it plays out on the physical realm, but I'm getting to a point. Yes, that helps with forgiving other people, but the real truth and the real critical key is that when you're not able to find forgiveness for people outside of self, the real person that you don't have full forgiveness for is yourself. And I know some people are like, what the heck is this guy saying? But if you can really take that level of ownership of the world around you and why you've created certain circumstances and situations, because we're here and embodied to learn and to discover who we truly are and who we were born to be. So when you're able to take it back to self and go, okay, so where am I not forgiving myself? Where do I harbor grudges against myself? Where do I not love myself unconditionally? That is true power. That is truly taking back your power. Because when you realize that all the ways in which you harbor grudges and things against other people and the world around you, that's an outpicturing of what you hold against yourself, in some cases directly and indirectly. It's literally putting the mirror up. Wow. Because when you heal that and when you transcend that, the volume of self-love that you're able to tap into and attain and permanently heal wounds and issues and trauma and abuse and remove and unravel conditioning and programming that holds you back. Because anything not of love holds you back from the full experience of your oneness, of your God self, of your divinity, of your soul, your I am presence, of Jesus in your heart. Whatever the terminology is that works for you, it's irrelevant. But this is the ultimate truth. Forgive. To give as before. To expand upon that, to give love as before. That's what forgive means. And true forgiveness is unconditional because it's an aspect of love. And true love is unconditional. So hopefully, I sort of tackled forgiveness in a lot of different ways, and hopefully something landed there and resonated with you. If it didn't, then I'm sorry. There's not much I can do about that. But if you liked it, please like, share, comment. If you didn't, then comment anyway. Help me out here. Help people get to see this content, especially if you find it helpful yourself, because it's really important, right? It's really, really important that we focus on the stuff that's really important, right? Which is healing ourselves and becoming the best possible version of ourselves and finding that unconditional love for one another as humanity, as a unified field of energy. Because there's enough fighting and wars and craziness that's happening out in the world. And that needs to change. But it changes from the inside out in each and every single individual. So whoever you can share this sort of content with, and for other people, it really, really helps. So back to the initial question, who do you need to forgive? If you can't take it back to yourself, then seek out every single person and individual whom you have a grudge with, or you have a beef with, or where there is something that needs to be forgiven, and forgive it. Ideally, while you can in the physical realm, right? Don't wait till someone dies and then realize, oh, no, I missed out. I didn't get the chance to reestablish that love and that connection with them. It's that important. It's that important.